Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, community coach, podcaster, and author. Today's talk, engineering freedom for greater service. And this is to the people that feel they don't have the time to serve. And I want to give you a framework that I learned that's helped me to do both. Let's first start with why am I here? I wrote a book, Local to Global Impact. Why? Because this book taught me the precious nature of life and how it can quickly be taken away. Let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So 4.5 years ago, I had a stroke. That stroke took my whole left side out. And when you lose your left side, you really lose both because it just doesn't work properly. I had to learn how to talk, to walk, to go to the bathroom, to eat. Everything I had to learn over again. But the most important thing I learned was I had 49 days to reflect, 49 days to think. And that is the first time in my life I had that much time to reflect. I was always on the treadmill of busyness, of working harder than anybody else, but not realizing there was a better way. Not realizing that by changing my mindset, by changing my sense of urgency, by realizing that we only have a certain amount of days on this earth, certain amount of Wednesdays, Thanksgivings, Christmas, birthdays, and we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So what I want to share with you today is how you can have mortality motivation without going through a health scare that almost took my life. So the stroke totally paralyzed my left side. I had to shut down my current business and had to think, what is the next chapter of my life going to be like? What am I going to do differently than I did before? And I came to the conclusion that we only have one life to live. And that life can be a life of impact. That's why I'm so excited to be with the people in this room, because you are leaders. You have service above self as a motto. You believe in giving back to the community. Not everybody thinks that way. So you're a long way ahead of most. But what I discovered, besides being life is precious, that my whole life could have been over, I realized that if I did things differently, I could appreciate life more and I can impact more people, because together we're better. Let me go to the first one. First thing I discovered, now, you don't have to go through this, but mortality motivation changes the way you think. When you realize how precious life is, you realize that being present in a conversation, having a mindset of today, writing that book today, making that phone call today instead of someday. Because when you have a mindset of someday, things don't happen. Because someday may never come. Because it almost was my story. But as a little angel, as Anna said to me at Shepherd when I was there for 39 days, the type of stroke you had, most don't survive. And if they do, they're even worse than you. And I'm looking at total paralyzed left side, trying to learn how to do everything over again. And it could have been worse and it could have been over. So that day I changed my thinking to, I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm not going to put off. I'm going to appreciate every day like it could be my last. Because when you have that kind of mentality, you realize how precious life is. And when you realize how precious life is, you think differently. You appreciate every conversation, every time you're with somebody, and realizing that this is precious. Life is precious. And when you have that, you get things done, the important things, and that's really critical, is to be clear about what you want to do. Because if you're not clear, any distraction will get there. And when we realize that the average person in America watches 4 hours of TV and scrolls 2.5 hours of TikTok videos, we realize that's a lot of time building other people's lives, thinking about other people's lives, consuming other people's lives. When we're born to create your life. So when you think creative, when you think today versus someday, you realize you have one life to live on this planet. And that one life makes a difference in how you prioritize things, how you approach each day. And so let me go through the 6 freedoms, because it's so important that we understand that freedom is engineered. And what I mean by that is the first one is time. When I realized I worked hard on my time, prioritizing better, getting clear, getting focused, I realized that by leveraging my time, it allowed me to have more time for my health, for self-care, for going to the gym, for being more healthy, because we only get one body. And if we take care of it, it takes care of us. So when I leveraged my time, I allowed more time for my health journey. My energy increased. When my energy increased, my ability to be clear. And so then I worked on wealth. And wealth, from this standpoint, I want you to think about it differently. You don't have to be a billionaire, millionaire. If that's fine if you want to, but think of it this way, because freedom comes when you wake up the beginning of the month. And if your overhead is 5,000 and you have 6,000 coming in through passive income, reoccurring income, you're free. Your mind's free. You're free to be creative, which is the next freedom. And when you're creative, the wind is behind your sails. You're doing what you love to do. You just can do it as much as you want, and you choose to do what you want. And when that creative freedom kicks in, you have location freedom because you can work from anywhere. Because if you realize that the online world is now global and you can work from anywhere in the world, because the world is your market, your oyster. Most people think local, and that's 140 people. Know, like, and trust you. But play in the global sandbox from the local sandbox. It's 5,000 to over 1 billion people. That's how many people can be able to be interested in you. So you have to build know, like, and trust, but you can do that online. And when you realize that, you can travel anywhere. So when you embrace and engineer the 6 freedoms, the last part of this comes with community, the community multiplier. Because together, we're better. Together, we're better. We connect, we learn, we grow, and we support each other together. And in community, this is the multiplier effect. Our community is our Skool community, which I'll share with you in just a minute, is where people are making an impact. They're doing it around the world. They're doing it beyond their zip code. They're doing it online. Just like you're hearing this, this can be online. And when people get to know you, like you, and trust you, they want to do business with you. And when you can have a community of people that are supporting you, and every person in the community has a vested interest in helping each other, it's a multiplier. And that multiplier becomes precious to your growth and your impact. Because together we're better, and we're here only for a small part of time when we realize it. So make the biggest impact that you can make on your life and the life of people you touch. So when you look at service above self, you look at serving people, giving back, and doing it in a community. And when you do it with the mindset of impact and realize that life is precious, life is precious, and that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So do it today. Have that sense of urgency, not from a hectic standpoint, but from strategically selecting what you want to work on, who you want to impact, what do you want to be known for. And these are things, when you start preparing yourself mentally for that shift, and you don't take for granted things, and you realize how grateful you can be if you have the right mindset, you change. And when you change from local to global, and you realize that you can make an impact, you can have location freedom, travel freedom, wealth freedom, health freedom, and time freedom. Because time is the most precious thing. We only have 24 hours. So using that time wisely will determine the impact that you can make. So I want to make this offer to you. If you're a person that wants to make an impact and want to surround yourself with people who want to do the same thing, join our Skool community. Let us help you move from local to global. And each person that joins, we give back to our community, our Rotary community. And we give back to make an impact in a bigger community. Together we're better. Join our community today. And for five people today join, I will give them personal 1-hour coaching so we can get you off to the right start, the right mindset, the right focus, and understanding your impact that's possible. We only live one life, so let's live it with the best and the brightest future we can and make the biggest impact we can on the world. My name is Pete Kane. I also have books available. All proceeds from this book go to Rotary. And in this book, you're going to learn the fundamental freedoms that helped me create the mindset of impact. I wouldn't wish a stroke on anybody, but I'm so glad I went through that to be today a different person, a person of impact, a person of focus, a person that wants to leave this world better and create the biggest impact. So if you want to join, scan the QR code. I'm Pete Kane. Be bold, make an impact,